What is going on, everybody, man? King Recon here. Due to the current circumstances, I'm not sure if I'll have to take a hiatus soon. Because of that possibility and the way that it's looming around, and because I don't know what is going to happen in the future, I said, you know what, man? I've got to record it. I've got to come on here and I've got to talk about this topic. This topic means so much to me, man, that I feel like it was burning. I needed to release it, bro. And I'm so glad that I'm finally able to sit down and record this video about my two favorite story arcs in Steel Ball Run and the theme that connects the two of them, man. Now, if you have not read Steel Ball Run, or if you have not indulged in the greatness of JoJo, please do not watch this video. I do not want anybody to get spoiled on this legendary masterpiece, man. This is a story that I hold very near and dear to my heart, so much so I don't even like tweets based on it on Twitter, because I don't even want the people who follow me to see certain things that happen in the future, man. And if I have in the past, and I apologize, if I've ever spoiled something to Still Run, then I apologize there too. But I always try my hardest, man, because this is something I hold very near and dear to my heart for many different reasons, but especially due to what I'm going to be talking about today. So if you have not read Steel Ball Run to its completion in all 95 chapters until the final chapter, because I will be talking about the final chapter, please leave the video, man. I'm going to assume if you have stayed that you have read the entirety of Steel Ball Run, and if that is the case, man, let's get right into it. Once again, I was alluding to earlier that I'm going to be talking about my two favorite story arcs and the main theme that runs between them, and those two story arcs are the World of Stars and Stripes, which is the final two chapters of the series, and Sugar Mountain, man. You know, and the theme that runs between both of these, that makes both of these arcs so great in my eyes, is the theme of getting back to zero. Johnny's main goal in the Steel Ball Run race, why it is that he entered the Steel Ball Run race, was to get back to zero. And so, you know, starting off, of course, with Sugar Mountain. You know, in Sugar Mountain, Johnny yells those words out where he says that the corpse parts are the only, he believes that the corpse parts are the only way that he's able to get back to zero. And in his eyes, that's his main objective, that's his goal, you know, that's what he wants to do. And the reason why I love Sugar Mountain so much is because through this arc, Araki was able to present this theme in a way that he does normally with his story arcs, but it's really, really like right in your eyes, blam in your face in this arc, where you have the main objective and the main antagonist that they have to overcome in this arc, presenting this very idea to you of getting back to zero, and the way that Gyro and Johnny have to spend all of the stuff that they gained from the moment that they entered this tree until sunset. They have to actually get back to zero, literally get back to the starting point of where they were before they entered the tree, is very, very fascinating to me, because it is once again Araki just throwing the theme right in your face, utilizing it and putting it within the story. And I always enjoy whenever he does that, but in this one in particular, because it's a theme that means a lot to me, it stuck out with me for a long time. And every time I go back and reread Sugar Mountain, it sticks with me, because it is such a great arc for that very reason. You know, of course, it's wonderful for its artwork, and you get to truly see Araki's artwork shine in this arc and whatnot. But when just talking about this theme, it's at one of the times where it shines the brightest. You know, the theme of getting back to zero is something that I can relate a lot to. It's something that, you know, whenever you lose something, or you initially had something and then you lose it due to whatever circumstances, you want to get back to where you were. You know, whenever I played Call of Duty, and I used to play a lot, man, go up in like swimwear. I'm talking about, bro, go in there like swimwear, dog, real talk. And now when I go back and I play, man, I wish that I could get back to that 0 point of where I was in the past, but I know that took a lot of practice each and every single day, playing, knowing all the maps. You know, how could I hope to go back to zero through a miracle? You know, and just naturally have my skills back out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying? And then when it comes to to the thing, and the reason why this series means so much to me in the first place, from a writing standpoint, whenever I went and started pursuing a career in writing, you know that, you know, there come a point in time where you're not able to write for a while, and for me it was quite some time. And so whenever I got back, I was like, man, I really, really want to get back to that 0 point of where I was in the past, where I could, you know, just write like it was nothing and just toss it out, right, toss it out. But now it's tough to even get a couple words done, because I held myself to the standard to where if I don't do this, or if my writing isn't up to that quality, then I don't even want to do it. I feel so rusty. Because of that, I don't even want to start it. And it's because of that, it's a theme and it's a topic that really is near and dear to my heart, man. I'm so glad that Araki presented it in the way that he did in the Sugar Mountain arc. With the initial premise of the arc being, of course, that they have to overcome that very same thing, and they have to get back to zero. They have to get back to the point to where they were before they entered the tree. And once they entered the tree, this journey was presented in front of them, where they had all of these new things, but they had to get rid of them immediately. And what I love so much about this is that they initially came into this tree for Johnny to gain another corpse part, so that they could continue moving forward in that goal that they had right here. And before I continue, context is needed for this type of stuff, man. I love how the arc before this is where we truly get to see Johnny's flashback for the first time. And we get to see why it is that he acts the way that he does, and why the past continues to haunt him. Because it's not only chapter 3 where we see how it is that he became paraplegic, but it goes even deeper than that into how it was whenever he was a child. And you get to see his motivations and why he truly strives to get everything back to zero. So within Sugar Mountain, you have a situation presented where Johnny has to choose between the corpse part and to save Gyro. And this part is huge to me, because that is something that I feel like we as humans have to, like, on our adventure, on our quest towards a certain thing, we also have to choose between one or the other. Something that we care about at this current point in time in the journey, and then something that we believe can take us towards the next step. So what's more important to you? Something that you actually care about now, or the potential of something that you care about in the future? So Araki's initially he was presenting, what do you hold more to value in that sense? And at first Johnny holds the corpse part because he's like, man, this is the thing that's going to take me to my starting point. This is the thing that's going to take me back to zero. This corpse part is going to be it's going to lead towards me getting the other ones, and it's going to finally get me back to where I was in the past, and finally going to get me back to zero. And he yells it in this very arc too. So whenever the situation actually takes place, though, he cries, man. I mean, he literally lets it all out and gives it away in order to save Gyro, man. In order to save his friend who he met on this journey, a value that he met on the journey that he started, in order to find in order to get what he had. He finally had this hint towards what he could have in the future, but he had to let it go in order to save what is currently held valuable for him. And then, of course, after all this goes down, you have one of the most iconic sequences in the whole series, which is not only incredible in its themes, but also incredible in its paneling and its art. Whenever Gyro asks him, for a toast, and Johnny says, to what? We've lost everything. And that to Johnny, he means that wholeheartedly. He means that 100% wholeheartedly. He lost everything, man. He lost his what he believed was how he would get back to a 0 point, how he would get back to where he was before. He lost the things that he held so valuable that he believed that it would take him to where he originally was. And because of that, Araki was able to tell us that if we go on a quest to get back what we originally had, and on that quest you don't hold the what you found on that quest of value, then eventually you have to make a decision, and you might end up losing everything in the process. And that's what I love so much about that arc, man, because it's not only telling you through the story itself of how they actually will end up losing everything if they don't overcome this objective, but then at the very end too, Johnny has to make a decision that he himself makes. No one else makes it. Life doesn't make it. It's not a fate. It is him. He has to make the decision between either going and continuing down the path that he was originally going towards, or now saving what he's currently holding valuable and going down towards that path again, or possibly even a new path. And I love it so much, because even though Johnny in his heart believes that he's lost everything and he's once again gone back down to the negative, because he saved Gyro. And because of the light that Gyro is in his life, it's almost like he came back to his own zero, yet he has not realized it yet. And that's why I say that Sugar Mountain works so well whenever you have the memories of Stars and Stripes, and everything that took place like in Ball Breaker, High Voltage, and Break Your Heart, My Heart, all that stuff in mind. And that's why it's always better on a reread, whenever you go back and reread it, at least for me. And so right here we see that initial theme being brought up where, once again, in order to get to that 0 point, in order to get to that starting point of what he was chasing in this race, you know, it went down something that he was not expecting. You know, he did not expect, even though he followed Gyro on this race, he did not expect to have two things of value that he would find. Something that, like I said, that would, because both of these things offered him the same thing. You know, you had Gyro, who he initially is the reason why he started the race in the first place, which is to learn more about the steel balls and the rotation so that he himself could walk again. Because through that rotation, he felt like that need where it was like, okay, I felt it. I felt my legs moving. Like, I feel like I can actually walk again. And so he wants to learn the rotation so that he can start walking again, both figuratively and literally, with Gyro. And then the other thing that was brought up later on in the race, of course, was the corpse parts, which he believed could also take him to that next step as well, because it presented the stand, and it presented his abilities, and it presented how he would be able to overcome certain things on his own. And so he started deviating away from what originally got him to this point and started valuing something else. And I thought it was fascinating that he had to make a decision between both of those things that the entire series was setting up for up until this point in time. He stuck with what he originally started the race in the first place with, and to follow that path to the end instead of the other one. Even though he does want to go back and start that one, he still keeps the initial core value of why it is that he started the race near and dear to his heart, which is how he believed 100% he'd get back to 0, which is through Gyro. And so, how that connects to Stars and Stripes, you know, Stars and Stripes is an arc that I love so much from a writing standpoint, because, you know, as writers, we want to have that ending that sticks with people. We want to have that ending that really provides a satisfying conclusion, a whole bunch of twists and turns, but also stays true to the main theme and of the series, and maybe even hopefully have a callback to the beginning of the series, so it looks like everything came full circle. And because I value an ending like that, and because I would like to write an ending like that, Steel Ball Run chapters 94 and 95, The World of Stars and Stripes, is my favorite ending I think I've ever read. And it's because it stays true to everything that I just said. And it does it in a way to where every time that I finish this story, every time I go back and I finish Steel Ball Run, I'm always left with the same exact feeling. I'm thankful for the fact that I went on this journey. I'm thankful for the fact that I found this masterpiece, man. Because if I would not have found this masterpiece, I don't know. Yeah, you know, who knows what would have happened. But because I went on this journey with these individuals, I was able to come out of it brand new. So, going back to the World of Stars and Stripes, man. You know, I constantly get asked why it is that I like Stars and Stripes more than the stuff that happens right before it, like Ball Breaker and Break My Heart, Your Heart, and High Voltage. And the reason for that is because of what I'm about to say. You know, we never get to see Johnny cross the finish line. We never get to see Johnny cross the finish line because it's irrelevant to his character arc. You know, he did not join this race to win. He didn't even join the race to finish. My man entered the race because he wanted to get back to 0. He wanted to get back to where he was before. He wanted to have a starting point to where he believed he could once again start moving forward again in life, man. He wanted to get to the position, to the point in his life where he could start moving forward again. How relatable is that, bro? Where for individuals who have lost something, who have you know, had something that they believe that they once grasped, and because of some situation or another, they were not able to get it. Now they want to get back to that point, so that way they could get back to that starting point and start moving forward towards that goal they originally wanted to achieve. You know what I'm saying? And so, what I love so much about Steel Ball Run is that he goes throughout this entire journey of self-discovery. He goes throughout this entire journey of wanting to find himself, find the truth throughout so many different things, but at the core place of it, he started this race because he wanted to get back to 0 so he could finally start moving forward and walking again in his life, man. And Johnny's actual starting point in that is the final pages of the manga. His actual starting point, his actual back to zero moment is at the end of the series. It's not in the middle, it's not and towards the end. It is at the end of the series, after the Steel Ball Run race has finished, after he has gone on this journey, on this adventure. He has finally gone back to zero, bro. His past is no longer chasing after him. He is back to where he was before. And not only that, he has reached a new zero. He has reached a new purpose. He has reached something new that he wants to achieve. But why did he reach that new zero? Because he went on this adventure and this journey in the first place. He could have just laid back, sat back, and waited for a miracle to happen. He could have just waited for the opportunity, waited for this, waited for that. But no, he took it upon himself at the start of the race to search after an answer. Johnny took it to himself to go out on this journey of self-discovery and on this journey to get back to zero. And at the end of the manga, we see that he actually does it, man. And he does it and the way that Rocky writes it is in a way that, you know, he didn't have to win the race, so he didn't. It wasn't relevant. Like, Johnny's not going to win the races because he's the main character. Johnny won in his own, in what he wanted to do. You know, life is not always about winning and losing. Life is not always about winning and about being the best at something. Sometimes you just want to get back to zero, man. Or in this case, to get to a new zero. And in order to do that, you have to go out and do, you have to discover, you have to find, especially when you're young. That's what Rocky's telling us, man. Go out and do. Like, if you're scared, or if you're too stuck in the past, by God, move forward in something, because it's through moving forward in that something that you will find something beautiful at the end, man. You will get to a new zero. And I love that concept so much. And this entire final arc is so fantastic to me because it revolves around that. Even whenever the stuff is going down with him and Diego, even whenever what goes down, bro, Johnny isn't even the one to take him down. Like, seriously, in so many other stories, and I'm not doing this in order to bring down other stories, I'm just comparing it and as to why I love it so much. And in another story, you would have the main character take out the final objective in some way, maybe even with new form, because new forms are the thing. I love new forms. You know, we could have had a Tusk Act 5 or something, but it was not relevant to his character arc. You want to know why he did what he did against Valentine? Because that was relevant to his character arc and the fact that he needed to move forward. Something that was brought up earlier on in the True Man's World arc, and how he is and how he has become. You know, you see the fire in his eyes, the determination in his eyes to move forward. And he knew that whenever he was taking on Valentine, that was what needed to happen, and that led towards what he would get to at the end of the series. So, but because he had already gotten that, he did not need to defeat Diego. He did not need to release Tusk Act 5 against Diego with like a gyro ghost saying Lesson 6, Johnny. That didn't happen because it did not need to happen. It didn't need to happen. You know what I'm saying? I love that so much because it's something that, you know, Araki's all about unique situations in his manga. There's been several different points in the series where the main character isn't even the one that defeats the villain. But in this case, why it hits home so much is because it brings the whole series full circle. It brings you back to the beginning, and you remember Johnny didn't want to win the race. Johnny just went on this journey to get back to zero. And that's why the final pages of this manga are just him being thankful and being grateful for the fact that he went on this journey. At the beginning of the series, this man wanted to forget his past, bury his past in the darkness, so that he could start over at a new zero, or start over to get back to zero, so that he could erase the sins of his past, so he could erase everything that he had done in the past. You know, it had gotten to the point to where it was eating him up so much, it literally started coming after him in the Civil War arc. And so you saw through the entire series how his past continued to catch up with him. But after chapter 91, with his pops, then that was the final thing, bro. He went on, and you get to find out exactly why it is that he did not need to win the race. And it's like, throughout this entire thing, he just looks back, and you have this wonderful panel of him. And the reason why this panel is so beautiful to me is because, once again, of the type of character that Johnny is. Johnny did not want to remember his past. Johnny did not even want to think about his past. He just wanted to start over from zero and get back to where he was, man, to start life so he can start moving forward again, start walking again. And instead, at the end of the series, he looks back at everything that led him towards this point, everything that had led him to this point in this wonderful adventure, in this journey that he had gone through. And he tells Gyro, thank you, bro, because if it wasn't for him, he would not have gone and started these steps on this journey to go to where he needed to go. Gratitude and being thankful, man, for what happened in the past. Something that Johnny would have never done at the beginning of the series. And that shows his change, man. That shows how it is that he's moved forward. That shows how he has begun to walk. And how now he is truly at a 0 point. Because throughout that entire final chapter, he was praying and being thankful for everything that had gotten him to the point to where he is now. And that point where he was finally back at 0. But not at his original 0. He was now at a new 0. And that's why I love Steel Ball Run. And that's why I love stories, bro. You know, Johnny's story is so beautiful to me because, just for me in particular, I've definitely had a lot of those moments where I'm scared of doing something because I just want to get back to 0. And this involves, many things in real life, in my career, whatever the case may be. But I'm scared of trying something or doing something because I'm already in the negative in that. And I want to take the necessary steps in order to get back to the positive, in order to get back into 0, let alone just positive, into the 0. Just to get back to the initial starting point. For example, like I said before with my writing, man, earlier this year, from like almost the entirety of last year, going into the beginning of this year, I was stuck at that negative point, man. And I was it was in the same situation that Johnny was talking about, man. I just did not want to think about my past. I just wanted to go back to the initial starting point so I could start writing again and start creating stories, bro. But it just wouldn't happen. And then in the same way that Gyro showed up for Johnny, man, I had a series called Chihaya Fudu that came out for me earlier this year, bro. And when I watched that series, it started something within me where I was like, man, this is why I love doing what I do. And I just started, and even now I'm still like in the back of my head, I haven't reached that point again where I was before, but I feel like I don't have to. Steel Ball Run shows you that you shouldn't want to get back to your original 0 point. You should want to achieve a new 0 point. You should want to achieve a brand new start. You should want to find a brand new start where you can go on this new path, because maybe that original 0 point wasn't for you, man. That original 0 point, you were taken out of it for one reason or another. It wasn't gonna work out. So not because things worked in the way that they did, you are now this new 0 point, man. And that's what Chihaya Fudu took me. And ever since this year started, I've been in a new mindset that I've taken with me, and that's why I think this Steel Ball Run reread that I just had hit harder than ever, because this particular theme just hit home so hard because I can relate so much to Johnny, man. More than ever, from feeling handicapped in a sense to where you just feel like you can't move. You feel like you can't walk anymore. You just feel stuck, and there's something preventing you from moving forward. And it takes that thing. It takes that one thing that finally allows you to take those steps. And even if you have to go on this long adventure, on this long journey, in order to finally get to your starting point again, in order to get to your 0, you take that thing, man. Because you never know what things of value and what wonderful journey and experience that you will find and take while going on that journey. And that's exactly why I love Lesson 5 so much, but I'll talk about that in a separate video, man. I don't know if I was coherent. I don't even know if y'all understand me, but this one came straight from the heart, man. It's something that I absolutely love about Steel Ball Run. And I'm so glad that I went through what I went through in this year, because when I read this again, I was able to truly understand why it is those 2 arcs mean so much to me, because they apply to me on a personal level and on a career level, man. And so thank you, Rocky, for creating Steel Ball Run, and thanks to all of you for listening to me ramble for the past, I don't know how long it's been, man. So thank y'all so much. I hope everybody has an awesome sauce of a day. Once again, if you are in this situation, do not dwell on the past, man. Do not dwell on just getting back to your original zero. Strive, continue moving forward, continue walking, man, so that you could get back to a new, or so that you can get to a new 0 point. Because that's where you'll truly start your new journey in life, man. Thank you, Stu Run. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Rocky, bro. Y'all have an awesome day. Stu Run greatness, man.